Jesus also talked about flowers. Flowers are a symbol of Easter. They're a symbol of the resurrection and of new life and new possibilities. And Jesus believed in new possibilities. He told people not to worry. Because when we worry, we just think that all is going to end. All is going to die. And he asks, who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life? And why do you worry about your clothes? See how the lilies of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. It's nice to see Easter. There's actually some UUs who have dressed up for church. But I like our congregation because we are a come as you are congregation. And that's part of what Flower Communion is about. The only flower blooming in my yard, I have some creeping phlox, but my daffodils are all gone, and my irises, they don't look anything like Joan's irises. They're just little sticks coming out of the ground right now. And I also brought a dandelion because I think the dandelion is the most underrated flower. And that's why we bring all of our types of flowers here, because it's all part of one piece. In the Quran, it's written, if one finds oneself with bread in both hands, that person should exchange one loaf for some flowers, because the loaf feeds the body, but the flowers feed the soul. Gail and I met working for an organization that served the elderly in Chicago called Little Brothers. And their slogan was flowers before bread. And they had started in France after World War II, delivering food to elderly people who were suffering the devastations of the war. But they didn't want their project to be a relief project. And they said, if we're bringing people food, we should come to the door with flowers and say, you are welcome, you are worthy. This is a gift of love, not a gift of penance or charity or duty. It is love. So the flowers before bread echoed that verse from Islam. The loaf feeds the body, but the flowers feed the soul. In Hinduism and in Buddhism, great importance is placed on the lotus flower. And the lotus flower is about the shape of one of these tulips, only it's about as big as a person's fist. And a person's heart is about the size of a fist. And this is a poem from the Rig Veda about the lotus. Like a lotus turned downward is the heart. Know that the heart is the abode of God. Surrounded by nerves, it hangs down like a lotus bud. At its end is a subtle nerve in which is established the being who is everything. So within all of our chests is a lotus bud containing the eternal, the never-ending. And I suppose no country celebrates flowers like Japan. With their Shinto heritage and their Buddhism, they celebrate the cherry blossoms. And just like we have the maps of where the fall colors come down from Vermont down into the Smoky Mountains, they have maps that say go south to north, some starting in Okinawa in January and then all the way to June up at the upper islands of where the cherry blossoms are in bloom. And I try to imagine what it would be like to spend just 6 months following the cherry blossoms, because my taste of the cherry blossoms came when I lived in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's magical. The way they just cascade about you, and it's incredibly beautiful. And these are some words from Issa, a Japanese poet. Cherry blossoms, I waited and waited for. Countryside. My province, even the grass blooms cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms scatter. Even the devil in me loses its horns. The cure for this raucous world, late cherry blossoms. Simply trust. Cherry blossoms flitting down. Cherry blossoms, residents of this world a short time. Cherry blossoms scatter. My life, too, is heading downhill. Fluttering down. Mulch for the field. Cherry blossoms. Mulch for the field, even when dying, bringing new life. The Buddha said, if we could see the miracle of a single flower clearly, our whole life would change. To take that time. I selected 8 verses of the 264 that Issa wrote about cherry blossoms. And now, as we prepare to come and get a flower, and look at it, and look for the meaning of life within that flower, I read these words of Norbert Becker. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing upon these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, The efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. So as Travis plays, I'm going to ask people to start in the center, come up, and go to the back. So we'll start from the front. People in the choir go down and come up, and we create a flow this way. Select a flower that is not your own.